Let's head into the newspapers in Nigeria, see what we have on the headlines today. In the studio, we'll have a lecturer from the University of Lagos, Dr. Dan Ekere, in the studio, as well as in-house analyst Obaniyi Akinwale. Gentlemen, nice to see you both.
Thanks so much. Good morning.
Right. Let's begin from Daily Trust. Daily Trust will be our first point of call this morning. Stopping Amotekun, an afterthought. Southwest leaders are saying this. And situation is confusing. Yadudu, others are saying that as well. Okay, still the debate continues. Now let's move to the blueprint. The federal government kickstarts 7.5% value-added tax and targets 8 trillion naira. Nigerians caution on new regime, electricity tariff hike, and want governance cost reduced and seek improved power supply before hike. Measures will fix infrastructure. Experts are saying this. Okay, the chicken and the egg. The Daily Times is where we go next now, and is focusing on the fallout of the Supreme Court judgment. I leave everything in God's hands. Former governor of Imo State, Ihedioha, is saying this. Emeka Ihedioha urges Imolites to support new governor Hope Uzodimma, who has been sworn in already. All right. From there, let's go to the News Direct. Declaration of Amotekun as illegal, showing Kafalano Agbakuba Southwest governors fume over the Attorney General's position. Okay, still on the issue. Then Vanguard, which is the last one, is saying here, Southwest governors are saying no going back on Operation Amotekun. We'll pursue it to logical conclusion. Keridolu, that's the governor of Ondo State, is saying that. We're ready to copy it. Middle Belt leaders are saying this. And Malami lacks power to ban it. Makinde, the governor of Oyo State, is saying that. And Amotekun has come to stay. Professor Wole Soyinka is quoted as saying this. And no law prohibits establishment of Amotekun. Afe Babalola is saying this. Okay. And we also had a report credited to the governor of Obaniyi State a few days ago, saying that the Southwest copied the concept of Amotekun from them. But it's okay. Ensuring security is a good thing. All right, gentlemen, I wonder what you make of this, Dr. Kerry. Let me start with you on this. Now, the point there is, the Southwest governor said that they had discussed with the federal government, got an approval from the National Security Advisor in the first place before they kickstarted this whole issue. And if one expects that if the government was aware, then at what point is the same government coming to say this is illegal and so on?
But let's start from this point. Does the governor need to seek approval from the security advisor or Attorney General to secure his people? Because all they have done simply is strategies to secure, their people. You call them chief security officers of their states, and obviously you did not give them the enablement. You didn't give them the environment to actually secure, because commissioners of police and the rest take instruction from you at the center. They are not they owe any allegiance to the governor.
To the state governor.
Yes, the governor more or less have to parley, and they will need to revert to you before they can act. This time around, things are happening, and every Nigerian knows that there have been security challenges. And as a matter of fact, I expected the federal government to just keep quiet, and bury his head in shame that they are not able to. Because if you have enough, do you think any state governor want to create this kind of structure to spend more money when already, you collect practically all revenues?
So it is a vacuum that the existing security agencies
it's not just vacuum, it's failure. When you use vacuum, you try to euphemize it. It is failure of the state, that is the federal now, to actually secure Nigerians, that is now giving room for all manner of strategies and outfits to secure people. So I think that this afterthought, so-called illegal, well, at best the Attorney General can say it is illegal. That is a statement. That does not make it illegal. It is only a competent court of jurisdiction that can actually declare it illegal, because it's not in the powers of the Attorney General to say it is illegal, then stop it. So if you take any action today and it is against the law, it's not enough for the Attorney General to say, oh, this action is illegal. No, he is not the one to declare it illegal. We have bodies that should actually declare any act illegal, and it becomes so recognized in Nigeria. So I think if the government so feel that this Amotekun of a thing is illegal, then take the right step.
All right. Now, Obaniyi, a lot of people are saying that the state governors or in the Southwest should try to take this to the houses of assembly so that it can become a legal instrument from within the states.
Yeah, that's a valid point, but I want to ask, I would have loved to ask the Attorney General a few questions. And the National Assembly the same way. Why is it that at every point, any commission or committee to benefit the South or the Southwest in general is always shut down? You remember vividly, Senator Oluremi Tinubu was pushing a special status for Lagos, it was shut down. They were pushing for Southwest Development Commission, it was shut down. But yet, Lagos State or Southwest, as it were, generates 70% of VAT, which the federal government has now passed law that 3% of that money will be channeled for development of Northeast. That is legal, right? The pipeline monitoring contract for in the South-South was given to private security firms by government. That is legal, right? Again, you look at it, the case of Boko Haram, Nigeria had to hire some foreign military expatriates when they were trying to track the Chibok girls. That is legal. But when it comes to people securing their lives and property, which is the first right of every governor, it is illegal. Recollect that most of the kidnapping cases that has happened were being tracked by local vigilantes in communities. That is illegal. So you begin to ask yourself this question, whether when people get to corridor of power, they begin to forget what are the dynamics of what happened in the environment. The Southwest governors, for example, Lagos State share border on the Ekpe side with Ondo State. Lagos State share border on this side with Ogun State. If you go down the road, you find that the Ogun share border with Osun, Oyo, and what have you. So, in terms of border patrol, as we speak today, I doubt if we have up to 100,000 immigration or custom officers, which means even the Southwest border cannot be patrolled. So, for Right Honorable Attorney General to have said it is illegal when it is not the CJN, it's just a Minister of Justice and Attorney General. It's not a law court. It is so disheartening. And again, sometimes they said it's the body language of the president. I will have assumed the presidency will have reacted by now that Malami is not speaking for them. Because I was wondering if Malami can keep Dasuki in EFCC custody for over 4 years, and that is not illegal. And he has not even taken himself to commit them to contempt of the court. That is not illegal. And when people are now trying to secure their life and property, but I will tell you, politicians don't think about governance. They think of election. I'm telling you, all these Amotekun is illegal, is not illegal, is tied towards 2023 election, because you recollect vividly that when development agenda for Southwest done, come out with the security apparatus, a former commissioner of police, Lagos State, is a special advisor to the governor of Oyo State on security, was part of that committee. So they have blueprints, they have Interpol report and what have you. Now to come up when they have now launched the organization, it's an aberration.
Yeah, but if you say Amotekun or the issues are towards 2023, yeah. I wonder what's the relationship between Amotekun
so
now.
What happens is this, there's something they call egg in the basket.
Okay.
If the Southwest can have a joint security, you can be sure that the entire Southwest state, which is almost the second most populated state in region in Nigeria, is egg in the basket for whoever is coming from this region. All right. So politicians don't think, the Northern have already told us that 2023, they've only spent 8 years plus Yaradua 1 year as a democratic elected governor. But they have forgotten how many years Northern has spent as a president, okay, as the commander-in-chief, and the head of state of this country.
Obaniyi, I think we all have to see this as Nigeria. The issue of the South or North and all of that.
Sorry, do you have a local guard in your area? Is that legal?
Well,
so why did police ask all those local securities to start coming for police permit to use their guns?
Okay, so well, let's leave it here now.
The constitutional authority cannot do that.
We'll come back later maybe to discuss more on this, Dr. Dan Ekere. I know you have a lot to say, but let's put it up here for now.
Right. I have with me in the studio lecturer from the University of Lagos, Dr. Dan Ekere, and in-house analyst Obaniyi Akinwale. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Yeah, good morning.
All right, we'll head straight to the papers now, and I begin with the Daily Trust. Stopping Amotekun, an afterthought, Southwest leaders. Situation confusing, Yadudu others. To the front page of the blueprint, federal government kickstarts 7.5% VAT, targets 8 trillion naira. Nigerians caution on new regime, electricity tariff hike. Want governance cost reduced, seek improved power supply before hike. Measures will fix infrastructure, expert. To the front page of the Daily Times, Supreme Court judgment, I leave everything in God's hands, Ihedioha urges Imolites to support new governor, Hope Uzodimma. And to the front page of News Direct, declaration of Amotekun as illegal, Shoyinka, Falano, Agbakugba, Southwest governors fume over AGF's position. And finally, on the front page of the Vanguard, Southwest governors, no going back on Operation Amotekun, or pursue it to logical conclusion, Akeredolu. Well, we are ready to copy it, Middle Belt leaders. Malami lacks power to ban it, Makinde. Amotekun has come to stay, Shoyinka. No law prohibits establishment of Amotekun, Afe Babalola. All right, we have a picture of Hope Uzodimma being sworn in there on the front page of the papers, and that is where what we'll be looking at right now, gentlemen. Supreme Court judgment. I'll leave everything in the hands, in God's hands. Ihedioha. He's urging Imolites to support the new governor, Hope Uzodimma. We could see the way that the party was reacting to this victory, and there has been reaction, even beyond the party, across the country, to the Supreme Court judgment. Some are for, some are against, and some have come out to say that actually it was INEC that actually gave him the mandate, not the Supreme Court, because of the results. But then a lot of controversies with regards to the Supreme Court's judgment. I'll start with you, Dr. Ekere, because behind the scene, we were talking about this. Quickly air your mind on this.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, but the point is that once the Supreme Court has made a ruling,
of course,
there's practically nothing
else
yes,
that can be done.
Yeah.
So you heard your eyes right, leaving it at the hands of God.
Exactly. That is for those who have faith in God. That is the last point to leave it. But then we can just still, express our various reservations and acceptance and all the rest. And I've always had my worry about, a lot of operations of INEC and the courts, related to this kind of issues. For instance, you have the case of, something like what they call the margin of lead principle, where, votes that have been cancelled, for instance, because somebody now has, the one who is winning has a number that is less than the votes that are cancelled. You say because of that, you want to go and revive those votes and conduct an election. So my worry would be, why were they cancelled in the first instance? The case of Ihedioha and Uzodimma, we understood that, yes, the man's prayer was that there were some votes that were actually cancelled, and they called the cancellation illegal. Because if those votes were actually taken, he signed, then he would likely emerge the winner. And eventually, when it was actually reviewed, he now emerged the winner. But the question is, who cancelled the votes? Was he entitled to that cancellation? Does he have the power to cancel the votes?
And that was the issue.
Yeah, so if you have said that INEC, the one who you've appointed to declare results, has the power to declare, has the power to cancel. Now, the ones he cancelled are now being seen as illegal, but the one he declared is not illegal. So you begin to have issues. So this is a confusion that arises where we begin to look at the same thing with two different standards. What is the ground for cancellation? The man who cancelled it did not say he did the cancellation frivolous. And we have seen that happen in so many other states, where an opponent will say, okay, this man, that area is a stronghold. What do we do? Let's see how we can frustrate election.
But the issue was if he had the right to cancel
those votes. The INEC official who is returning a result is the one who has the power to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, so if that has happened, so that is a confusion that you find out. So because of that, there is not left to the wisdom of the courts. And the way the courts make declarations, it is by lordship, really. Yeah, they lord it over you, and unfortunately, Even the affair Babalolas of this world and all the eminent people, it will always be as your lordship pleases.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, Obaniyi, let's get your reaction to this matter.
I think we will not put the blame on the tables of their lordship as regards the state of Imo. There are certain principles and certain rules that governs the electoral process in Nigeria. And vividly, the lordship view the merit of the case. You look at the case from the Court of Appeal and from the tribunal, the APC has always been saying you cancel out 388 wards in the state, and you declare an election where the declared winner do not have 25% of 2/3 of the state. That's first run via of the law. That is one. Two, the defendant in this case did not attempt to ask the court to void what the appellant is asking for. Three, the appellant, according to their lordship and their wisdom, says the police, the INEC, and all the parties tendered the results of these affected 388 wards. Now, what it means is that when a result is being submitted, is being signed by the security apparatus, by the political parties, that document is admissible in law.
Absolutely.
So now what their lordship, most times the judgment of Supreme Court is not based on what they have argued in those areas.
They follow through.
It's based on what the report from all those other courts. The Court of Appeal has never said the 388 wards were not eligible votes. And the governor himself, the former governor of Imo State now, did not say it is not. So sometimes politicians want to roll on sentiment. Let me give you an example. What happened in Zamfara? PDP did not contest in Zamfara at all. The man has been declared a winner. Few days to the swearing in, the same Supreme Court come and said APC did not follow their constitution, and PDP was declared a governor. So for me, the problem we keep on having in this country lies on two tables. First, the judiciary. Second, the academics. Academics because the people that have been ruling INEC, they are academics.
Absolutely.
And the problem we've been having, whether to twist the law or to make it right, has always been the decks of Nigerian Bar Association and the lawyers. So the CJN or the panel of juries will only leverage based on the information from the judiciary. And you will know that prior to this time, for the AA candidate to have pulled out of his appeal prior to Supreme Court judgment, it is so clear that the judgment of both courts are and they are precedents. You look at Osho Omole, the same thing happened. The court has to look at the merit, look at Fayemi, the same thing happened. Even Amechi was called back as a governor from the Supreme Court. So sometimes we need to talk to our lawyers to find a way of ensuring that they always close that loopholes in order to not to make judicial to look back.
But for some persons, this judgment has reposed their confidence in the court.
It is always, both ways or either ways. You see, the loser will always have issues against judgment.
Definitely.
The winner will always celebrate. Each time you are declared winner, it is victory for democracy. Then when it's against you, you are oppressed. So, but I need to make a clarification that academics don't make the laws. You see, we did not make laws for INEC.
Definitely not.
Yeah, so what you can't.
But you do research. But you do research that INEC uses to do their statistics and
you have not even relied on our researches.
We do because we have you at the end of the affair.
No, you see,
and these lawyers that are creating confusion are also from your fault.
If that is the only thing, you are even part of us because we created you as well. So we created practically everybody. So those who are good, you have not celebrated academics for them.
We do.
Then the ones that are bad, you will be saying blaming academics.
To write the process.
But looking at the issues
quickly, because we have to go.
Looking at the issues carefully. You see, I have not said the blame is at the doorstep of the judiciary. But what I'm saying is that
was the picture you were seeing.
No, what I said is that, see, when rulings come in this manner, you will always find issues. But the major issue I was pinning the whole thing down to is that question of the power to cancel. And the situation in which evil council votes can be revived and all the rest. So the first thing to deal with is even the question of cancelling at all. Until that issue is addressed, you begin to find politicians who will always want to use some persons to cancel votes in areas where the opponent has strength.
Perhaps that's why there has been a push for electoral reforms over time.
Reforms are critical. They
head into the papers now, see what the headlines are in Nigeria. I have with me in the studio Obaniyi Akinwale, as well as Dr. Dan Ekere from the University of Lagos. Gentlemen, good morning. Again.
Good morning,
right. The Daily Times is where we start from this morning. Supreme Court judgment, I leave everything in God's hands. Ihedioha is Emeka Ihedioha, former governor of Imo State, saying this urges Imolites to support new governor Hope Uzodimma. All right, from there, let's go to the Vanguard newspaper. Southwest governors, no going back on Operation Amotekun. Will pursue it to logical conclusion. Governor Keridulu of Ondo State is saying that we're ready to copy it. Middle belt leaders. Malami lacks power to ban it. Makinde is saying this, and Amotekun has come to stay. Shoyinka is saying this, and no law prohibits establishment of Amotekun. Afe Babalola is saying this as well. All right, from there, let's go to Daily Trust. Stopping Amotekun, an afterthought. Southwest leaders are saying this. The situation is confusing. Yadudu and others are saying this. All right, from Daily Trust, let's go to the Blueprint now. The Blueprint newspaper says federal government cake starts 7.5% VAT, targets 8 trillion naira. Nigerians caution on new regime, electricity tariff hike, want governance costs reduced and seek improved power supply before hike. Measures will fix infrastructure. Experts are saying this. Right. I guess this will interest my guest to talk about shortly. News Direct is the next one here that says a declaration of Amotekun as illegal. Shoyinka Falana, Agbakoba Southwest governors fume over the Attorney General's position. All right. Gentlemen, let's look at this issue on the Blueprint. Federal government kickstarts the 7.5, much talked about 7.5 value-added tax and targets 8 trillion naira. 8 trillion naira, certainly you see the budget for the year since the past 2 years and now has been within the range of 8, 9, 10 trillion. The one for this year is 10 trillion. It means that from tax alone going forward, it seems the government will be able to fund to a great extent its budget. What do you make, Obaniyi?
Let me first say I want to thank Comrade Adam Oshiomhole for helping us to break down the power of the labor union. You recall vividly it's after his tenure that we have TUC and NLC. And I want to also thank him for midwifing another faction called ULC, headed by General Secretary of Electricity Union, Comrade Ajero. Nigeria used to have vibrant, responsive, active labor union. But unfortunately, the kind of people we have in power now are caricature leaders. And I say with every sense of modesty, they were fighting for 30,000 naira minimum wage. Now, federal government has increased VAT to 7.5%, which will increase the price of commodities in the market. The personal income tax has increased. The company income tax has also increased. Yet, the increment that the federal government did, they call the consequential adjustment, is not comparable to what they are going to pull back from the system. Then again, to rub insult on injury, we were told early in January that they have not increased the tariff of electricity. They have just do adjustment based on the current dollar rate. But by April, we should also expect increments in, and based on the statistics I saw in the news a couple of days ago, the Nigerian inflation rate is now at about 12-point-something%. So gradually we are jumping to galloping inflation, job loss is beginning to count, banks are sacking, companies are sacking here and there, government is increasing the burden on poor people, cost of item is going to increase, and don't forget that 85% of this VAT, or 75% or thereabout, go to 36 state governments. And again, 3% of this 8 trillion goes to Northeast Development Commission. So you ask yourself, what is there for the poor masses? Why is this government, the labor union, bent on putting hardship on Nigerian every day? Let me shock you. The price of garri will increase. The transport fare will increase. House rent will increase. Meanwhile, not all employers of labor will increase the transport fare will increase. house rent will increase. Meanwhile, not all employers of labor will increase the wages of their, even if they increase your wages.
But they're saying with this money, they'll
Yes.
be able to, you know, invest more on infrastructure, education, transport, roads, power, and all of that. So shouldn't that be a good thing?
Very lofty idea.
Okay.
Very lofty idea. So you ask yourself, the one we have invested on Lagos Ibadan Kano Rail, what so-called has it brought to life of people on that axis?
It's still under construction.
Under construction. So we are going to go for another round of 26.3 billion for under construction for a system that has less than 38 months in power, and we don't know where it's going to take over and make it moribund like what we have at Ajaokuta. Sincerely yours, the labor leaders should put their head, cover their head with shame.
All right.
And the federal government of Nigeria, if they know what is good, because if you push a dog to the wall, the dog will come back at you. And they have
even
to,
a goat.
They have to,
For
they have
the
to
dog, you don't have to push the dog to the wall.
They have to be very careful not to
for it
push the dog to the wall.
It is a goat that you have to push to the wall to bite. The dog can bite
You
anytime.
wouldn't push a dog before.
Now they are pushing us to the wall.
Dr. Ekere,
Yes.
now the point there is, before now, the labor would not just sit and say, okay, let everything move on this way. But if it seems there's an understanding between the labor union that usually stand to make the people understand how some of these kind of increments should operate. It seems the labor understands with government in this instance.
I doubt if it's a case of understanding. I'm seeing a case of imposition. You know, the government seem not to be. We are not seeing every side of the picture. You know, labor has its own limits.
Okay.
Labor has its own limits. If you look at it carefully, yes, what labor took to the negotiating table was quite different. And eventually, what they got was not because it is something they actually wanted, but it was like, it is either you do this or you forget it. And you know, the instrument of coercion is usually in the hands of government. And to put the blame on the doorstep of labor, I feel would be the wrong, decision to take, because as Labour is doing this, how much support is Labour actually getting from?
Well, why did they attack Jonathan when the increase fell to 140
So,
and they changed to 97?
So
Is not the
exactly,
same Labour, guys?
that is where I'm even more interested in it, because it was not Labour alone that went on that strike.
So
When we were occupying Ojota, what Labour union does Bakare belong and the rest of them? So we have not. It equally shows the double standard that Nigerians are actually operating. The way we fought Jonathan, we have not used the same measure to fight the current president. And things are even getting harder. Life is becoming more difficult under this particular government, and we are calm. The civil society that was fuming fire everywhere then, we can't find it. So it shows that we were just being wicked to the Jonathan administration. And I think that we should
Or maybe it's just that they understand.
It's not understanding. This is wickedness. Because you had a situation in a particular government. You are having it worse this time around.
Fuel price increase, road increase,
and government is seeking more powers to even keep you silent the more. And we are blaming Labour. No, this is not Labour. Nigerians, it's not Labour alone that is feeling. How many Labour, in fact, as a matter of fact, who are these Labour people we are talking about? Okay. There are more people who do even follow this Labour than those who are under Labour. So we must look at it holistically. That's the truth. And the time has come for us to demand accountability.
All right.
To demand good governance on this country, this government. A scenario in which you just put things in place and believe that everything is well. Some persons are smiling to the bank and some are going to the grave. I don't think it augurs well for this country.
At all.
All right, we have to leave it.
At all.
We have to leave it here now, Dr. Ekere. Dr. Ekere has a way of putting these things. Some are smiling to the bank, others are crying to the grave.
It's really worse.
Dr. Dan Ekere, thank you so much for your time on the
Thank you. It was a
program.
pleasure.
All right, and Obaniyi Akinwale, thank you so much. Thank you.
Leo.
Right, you're watching TVC Breakfast, and we are streaming live on YouTube. You can also connect with us on Twitter using the hashtag TVC Breakfast.